The Jacksonville Jaguars have been a pleasant surprise out of the AFC South, and they absolutely put the beat down on the Los Angeles Chargers this past Sunday, 38-10, to go ahead and win as 6.5-point underdogs, and the game was never really close. A lot of positives for Jacksonville, a lot of negatives for the Chargers that I want to get into with you as well. But let's start on the positive side first, because what I'm seeing from this Jacksonville Jaguars team led by Doug Pederson, as they finally have an adult in the room, is really promising. We're starting to see the Trevor Lawrence that we were all expecting coming out of Clemson here as the number one overall pick.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence has always been a good player, but I thought last year he had no fundamental coaching, no technique coaching, and he's a lot like a golfer that unless he's kind of getting himself in a groove, he's going to look bad, and taking it from the practice field from the range to the course, from the practice field to the field, and I think he's improved, and certainly with ATN back there, Robinson, and Kirk has been a nice addition. Forget what they paid him.
Yeah.
Because he's been a really good player for him. So is Zay Jones. So, I mean, look, I think this is a good team, but I think where they've really improved is defensively. I think Mike Caldwell's done a really nice job. I think their front's really good, hard to block. And they run the Todd Bowles scheme, and they're able to create some pressure. And for the Chargers, they go into the game. Pimpkins, the right tackle's hurt. Corey doesn't play, the center. And then they lose Slater to the left tackle. This Charger team, the odds are going to come down because it's hard to find a left tackle this time of the year. As great as Herbert is, it's going to be hard for them, especially with this offensive line the way it is. And I'm not sure, I've never been sold that they were good enough on defense, even though they've added all these guys, because I'm not sold on their scheme defensively. So to me, that I just thought it was one of those where I had Jacksonville when it was 7. I had Jacksonville taking the points all the way, right? And even when it went down to 3, it was still a good bet.
How about the craziness of this Herbert situation? Because Friday, the betting market all bet on Jacksonville all the way down to 3, with the expectation being that Herbert was going to be out of this game due to the rib cartilage injury. Then we start to hear Saturday afternoon that, hey, Herbert is really pushing. Saturday night, it then comes out that everyone in the organization, I think even his agent, were all pushing for Herbert to sit this game out, thinking that, hey, let's play the long game here. Let's not just try to force it and go out there. But he goes and warms up Sunday afternoon, convinces everybody that he's good to go. Clearly didn't look like himself. You can see in the first quarter after his first hit, he was wincing. Wasn't quite himself. But this Chargers team, the injuries keep piling up. And then the thing that really bugged me was late in the game when Herbert was out there down by 28, and that the guy had to take a pain-killing injection just to play in this football game, and you still have him out there taking hits. I thought it was just one of Brandon Staley's worst hours as a head coach, and I'm off the train. I cannot take this guy seriously as a head coach. Honestly, the post-game comments, what he said afterwards of, well, Justin wanted to be out there with his team. Well, you're the coach. You should sit him down at that point. You're not his friend. You're his coach. Well, if he can want to be out there, but take him out of the game.
Well, I mean, when you're just at some point, aren't you the leader? I don't care what Justin wants. Exactly. I'm going to take him out. But see, we all just, because he goes for it on 4th down, we think this guy's brilliant, right? He showed no common sense all of last year. I bitched about his 4th down. Now, of course, it's okay to go for it on 4th down. I mean, Peterson's going to eventually learn to stop going for it on 4th down. Frank Wright almost cost his team, again, going for it on 4th down. Frank Wright's a disaster on 4th down. Seriously, it's getting out of control. You see less and less 4th downs getting converted in the NFL today because teams are ready for it. They're more prepared for it. And yet teams still continue to turn down the points. They still turn them down. At some point, the chart says we got to go for it. Stick that chart up your ass. It's the first quarter. The object is to gain points. Peterson cost this team the first game going for it. Oh, we're going to be aggressive. That's our mindset. We're going to be. No, I don't care about. I want to be smart. I mean, that's where I don't mind Staley being aggressive. I want him to be smart. I don't think he's had common sense since he's been the head coach there. I mean, they forced 3 turnovers against the Raiders. They haven't forced a turnover since. They gave up 151 yards rushing to Jacksonville. They got 413 yards in that game, 25 first downs at home.
They got beat up. They got beat up.
I mean, and they're supposed to be this elite team. I'm not buying it. I don't think he's an elite coach. I don't care what PFF grades him as the best coach in football. Like, I don't think he's an elite coach. I see because his defense never gets control of the game. Say what you want about Dan Quinn as a head coach. He was in control of the game last night completely. Like, you never felt like they were out of control. I never felt they were going to win the game, but I never felt like they were out of control, right? There's a difference there.
Staley, he's living off of being a defensive coordinator for the Rams when you have the best corner in the game with Jalen Ramsey, the best defender in the game with Aaron Donald.
The Rams got better with Raheem Morris. Come on, let's cut this shit.
Exactly.
Let's just,
exactly.
When I'm watching the Denver game, and we'll get to that in a second, and of course, nobody will say a bad word about Russell. God forbid if we did that. But I'm reminded about this new book that I finished, right? So Cosell has a saying, he would tell Meredith and Frank Gifford, if we see it, we got to say it. Like, at some point, what's wrong with seeing it and saying it? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, why do these TV people have to be so careful about what they say? Hey, if the guy's not playing good, say it. He's not playing good. Like, I love the Raiders. I love the Patriots. Like, if they're not, I like Mac Jones. He's not playing good. I'll say it. If you see it, you got to say it. Like, that's what our jobs are. Like, I don't understand why you have to be, I'm not going to say a bad word about Russell. Like, Russell's playing like shit. Are you kidding me?
It's the production meeting.
The Chargers are playing like shit on defense. Like, they've been playing like that. They got Pro Bowls on every single lever. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me they're a great defense? Come on, please. He goes for it on fourth down. Like, who's judging this? You know what set me over the edge?
What was it?
I know we got to go. We got to go to break. But yeah, I almost lost my mind.
Let it off.
My nephew Nick's at the house. He's having dinner. He's a doctor in Pittsburgh. Brilliant kid. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Surgeon. Unbelievable. His sister's a PhD and she's a surgeon. It's unbelievable family, right? Mm-hmm. Big Daddy's kids. Of course, he's at the house bitching about Green Bay the whole time, even though they're winning. But we'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, so they put up. We're watching the game. We're watching the 49 Denver game, and they put up Pro Football Focus has Cam Fleming as the number 3 right tackle in all of football. Number 3.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
The third best right tackle in all of football.
Come on.
And he's facing Nick Bosa, who they have rated as the 23rd best defensive end in all of football. I want to find 22 guys better than fucking Nick Bosa. Like, give them to me. Send them to me, please. I need to find them, right? You're telling me Cam Fleming, and meanwhile, they're chipping every play over there, right? Denver doesn't think he's the third best right tackle in all of football. Just watch the game. Watch the game. Yeah. I went nuts.
Cam Fleming, he used to be in Dallas, and I can tell you he's not
even the third best tackle on the team. Forget the best tackle in the league.
He's a swing tackle. That's what he is. He's a swing tackle.
He's a great kid. He's smart. He's learned how to play the game. He's been competitive. You're holding your breath every time when he's blocking the edge. Nick Bosa's the 23rd best defensive. Is somebody reviewing that? Again, it's Pro Football Focus because we don't know who's doing it. We have no idea. It's behind the curtain.
If there's 22 better defensive ends than Nick Bosa, please send them to Dallas and we can have a good defense. I'd appreciate that. But yeah, the Chargers, absolute disaster. Staley, I'm out on him. He's a clown, in my opinion, not a leader of men, because that comment of he wanted to be out there with the teammates, you're the head coach, you should override that and take your quarterback out who is battling a rib cartilage injury in a 28-point game. Thanks for watching the GM Shuffle with Michael Lombardi. And for more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to VSiN Live and the GM Shuffle podcast with Michael Lombardi, presented by DraftKings and VSiN, wherever you get your podcasts.